The week has felt endless for Eagles fans, but now we are only a few steps away from that Black Friday clash against Chicago, and the atmosphere around the team has been nothing short of electric. Ever since the collapse against Dallas, everything inside the building has been under intense scrutiny. Coaches, players, rotations, game plans. Everyone has been evaluated from every angle. The frustration from that loss did not fade overnight, and the ripple effect has followed the team straight into this short week. You can sense the urgency, the tension, and the understanding that this next matchup is bigger than just another date on the schedule. It feels like a turning point. One of those moments when a season either stabilizes or spirals. As the team tried to regain control, a flood of injury updates rolled in. Some were encouraging, others raised alarms, and all of them forced the coaching staff to rethink key pieces of the lineup. And one of the biggest storylines came from a position most fans were already anxious about. After that disastrous mistake on the punt return against Dallas, the team was basically pushed into making a change. The fumble inside the 1-yard line, combined with the shoulder injury suffered on the same play, left no doubt that a switch was coming. The absence from practice this week only confirmed that the return job was preparing to change hands. That opened the door for one name fans had been asking about since the preseason. The team had held him on the practice squad for far too long, even though his resume as a return specialist practically screamed for an opportunity. For 2 straight seasons, he had ranked among the top returners in the entire league, finishing 1 year first in total return yards and second in return average. That kind of production is not an accident, and it is the exact kind of spark the team has been missing. The offense has had stretches of inconsistency, and flipping the field even a few times can be the difference between stalling out and finally getting momentum. So when he showed up to practice wearing his old number again, it felt like a signal. And that signal turned into confirmation when he was officially elevated to the active roster, clearing the path for him to handle return duties on Friday. While the special teams situation seemed to be stabilizing, the defense had its own set of adjustments during the matchup with Dallas. The moment Adderley went out and entered concussion protocol forced the defensive staff into a quick decision. Instead of overthinking it, they chose to slide Cooper Dean to the outside and bump Michael Carter to the slot. It was a move made out of necessity, but it also showed the trust the staff has in Cooper's versatility. Even though he did get beat a few times, the coverage was tight. Sometimes great players simply make contested catches, and that is what happened. Still, the preference is to keep Cooper where he naturally thrives, which is inside, thankfully for the defense. The early week practice report brought a wave of relief. Despite the initial fear, Adderley was listed with a game day evaluation designation, meaning he never actually sustained a true concussion. With him back on the field and moving normally, all signs point to him being ready on Friday. A massive boost heading into a matchup against one of the most dynamic offenses in football. And that Chicago offense is no joke. They have been explosive, efficient, and extremely well-balanced. Their young quarterback has grown each week, spreading the ball to a deep group of playmakers and extending plays when things break down. Their rushing attack sits near the top of the league. Their passing game is steadily climbing, and their overall yardage numbers reflect a unit that can attack from every angle. This marks the 4th straight week that the Eagles' defense will face an offense ranked near the top of the league in multiple categories. It has been a challenging stretch, but the defense has handled it impressively. Even in tough moments, they have held their ground, created pressure, and kept the team in games. There is a confidence growing inside that group, and heading into another test, they know what they are capable of. Along with Adderley, more good news surfaced. Reed Blankenship has been back on the field, moving well, and is expected to play. His presence is enormous because he has quietly become one of the most reliable pieces of the unit. His instincts, range, and communication keep the secondary organized, and losing him for any stretch would have created a significant gap. Brandon Graham also returned after missing time with a groin issue, and seeing him back out there brought a calming sense of normalcy to the defensive line, but the positive updates were balanced by one unfortunate blow. Andrew Makuba's fractured ankle left a big hole that now falls directly onto the shoulders of Sidney Brown. Sidney has been waiting for an opportunity like this. His energy is undeniable. His physicality is fierce, and he approaches every snap with a tone-setting mentality, but with that aggression has come moments where he plays out of control, takes the wrong angle, or lets his emotion get ahead of his technique. That has made fans nervous, and understandably so, but when he stepped up to the microphone this week, he sounded grounded. He talked about slowing the game down, staying calm, trusting his preparation, and letting the big plays come naturally instead of hunting for them. That kind of self-awareness matters. The physical tools are there, the mentality is there. Now it becomes about channeling everything the right way when the lights come on. There is a lot to like in how he approaches the game. He flies around with intent. He loves contact, and he brings that heartbeat-type energy that rallies teammates. If he can balance that excitement with control, this could be the moment that shifts the trajectory of his young career. Friday will be his biggest test yet, and the team clearly believes he is ready for it, and if the emotional stakes were not already high enough, this matchup brings familiar faces to the other sideline. Adree Swift will return to the stadium where he delivered the best season of his career. He may have spent only 1 year in Philadelphia, but he left an impact with his big play ability and smooth running style. He will not be alone. Alameda Zaccheaus is back as well, along with several defenders who once wore midnight green. Kevin Byard has rejuvenated his career in Chicago, turning into one of the league's most productive safeties, with multiple interceptions already this season. Linebacker T.J. Edwards remains a stabilizing force when healthy, and then there is C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the emotional spark plug who instantly elevated Chicago's defense the moment he arrived. His stats in just a handful of games speak for themselves, and his energy is the exact same fire fans in Philadelphia remember. All of that adds extra layers to a game that was already loaded with meaning. The Bears' defense has been disruptive, opportunistic, and relentless when it comes to punching the ball out and jumping routes. They lead the league in takeaways, and facing a unit like that forces the Eagles' offense to tighten every detail. Ball security becomes a priority. Decisions must be quicker. Mistakes can turn into points faster than anyone expects, and just as the team prepared for that challenge, another concern emerged. Devonta Smith appeared on the injury report without warning, missing practice with a shoulder and chest issue. Then he missed practice again the next day. And history suggests that when a player sits out the first 2 sessions of a short week, the odds of playing drop dramatically. Losing him, even temporarily, would be a massive hit. He has been one of the most consistent and dependable weapons on the offense, a receiver who always finds a way to show up in the biggest moments. Without him, the workload shifts even more heavily onto A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert, forcing role players to step into bigger moments and reshaping how the offense attacks downfield. The closer we get to kickoff, the clearer it becomes that this matchup is more than just another date on the schedule. It feels like both teams are walking into a crossroads, and every storyline circling the game adds another layer of weight to the atmosphere. The Eagles have been searching for consistency on offense all year, trying to rediscover the rhythm that once made them one of the most unpredictable and dangerous units in football. Now, with injuries piling up and a short week cutting into preparation time, they head into Friday with their backs against the wall. Losing Devonta Smith would force a dramatic shift in how they structure the passing game, and it puts enormous responsibility on the shoulders of the remaining playmakers. A.J. Brown becomes the clear focal point of attention, which means defenses will aim to smother him with bracket coverage, forcing the ball into the hands of the secondary options. This is where coaching becomes critical. The offensive staff must find creative ways to generate spacing, alignments, and leverage advantages, even when missing one of the most nuanced route runners in the league. Moving guys pre-snap, altering formations, and designing plays that manufacture easy completions may be the only way to keep the chains moving. It also puts pressure on the ground game, which has struggled to build steady momentum throughout the year. Without Devonta stretching the field, the box could get heavier, and finding balance will take both patience and persistence. Running backs must hit holes decisively. Linemen must win at the point of attack, and the quarterback must keep the offense on track by avoiding negative plays against a defense that thrives on forcing turnovers. Ball security becomes a form of offense itself. Chicago's defense is built for chaos. They play fast, they play aggressive, and they do not hesitate to take risks. The front seven may not have the league's biggest names, but they fly to the ball with confidence, and their secondary plays with the instincts of a unit that trusts one another completely. That trust is why they lead the league in takeaways. They attack passing lanes, punch at the ball relentlessly, and jump on every loose opportunity. For the Eagles, this means every handoff, every catch, and every scramble must be protected like the season depends on it, because in a lot of ways, it might. The psychological element of this game cannot be ignored either. The The Eagles have spent the last 2 weeks listening to people question their identity. That loss to Dallas struck a nerve. Not only because of the score, but because of how disjointed the team looked in every phase. The reaction from the fan base, the national conversation, and the pressure inside the locker room combine into a storm that can either fracture a team or galvanize it. This game is the chance to show which path they are taking. Are they the group that stumbles under pressure, or are they the team that digs in and fights back? Across the field, Chicago enters with a completely different type of momentum. Their young quarterback has been growing with every snap, and he has embraced the leadership role with a maturity that has carried the locker room. Their receivers are playing with confidence, their rushing attack has remained steady and dangerous, and their coaching staff has constructed a scheme that leans into their strengths. They mix their concepts beautifully, blending run and pass in a way that keeps defenses off balance. The play-action game has become a weapon, and their ability to win on early downs gives them the flexibility to be aggressive throughout entire drives. The Eagles' defense will have to be disciplined, patient, and fundamentally sound. Chicago thrives on forcing defenders to hesitate, using motion and misdirection to pull eyes away from the true point of attack. One wrong step can turn an ordinary play into a chunk gain. That is where veterans like Brandon Graham and leaders like Reed Blankenship become invaluable. Their communication sets the tone for the younger players, and their understanding of situational football keeps the unit aligned. Stopping Chicago will require consistent pressure on the quarterback, controlled rush lanes to prevent escape routes, and tight coverage across the board. It is a tall task, but not an impossible one. Watching the younger defenders step into bigger roles is another storyline that adds intrigue to. Friday night, Sidney Brown, thrust into the spotlight after the injury to Makuba, now faces the most important challenge of his professional career. The coaching staff believes in him, and his teammates trust his effort and intensity. The question is whether he can channel that intensity into disciplined execution. If he can play within himself, keep his eyes in the right place, and tackle under control, he can become the type of player who changes the identity of a defense. But if he overextends, if he tries to do too much, Chicago has the weapons to exploit every misstep. At Ari's return, assuming everything continues trending positively, brings stability to the secondary at the perfect time. His presence solidifies the outside coverage responsibilities and allows the staff to keep Cooper Dean in the slot, where he plays his most natural and instinctive football. That alignment balances the defense, ensuring that matchups across the field are more favorable. With all the weapons Chicago brings to the table, every inch of matchup advantage matters. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments and let's talk birds. The NFL rumor mill is buzzing again, and this time the spotlight is on Howie Roseman. Sources close to the organization suggest that the Eagles' general manager may be plotting a move that could shake up the roster in a way fans haven't seen in years. Roseman, known for his strategic maneuvering and bold decisions, has apparently been spotted in meetings that insiders describe as highly unusual for this time of year. While details remain murky, speculation is mounting that the Eagles are preparing to make a splash either through free agency or a trade. Whispers around the league hint at a potential reshuffling in key positions, with some analysts pointing to the possibility of targeting a star player who could immediately elevate the team's profile. Roseman has a reputation for striking when opportunities arise, and with the Eagles' front office reportedly in sync, any move could come quickly and unexpectedly. The intrigue is fueled further by reports of intense scouting sessions and private calls with agents, suggesting that the team is leaving no stone unturned. Fans have long admired Roseman for his knack for turning assets into championship-caliber talent, and the current buzz only reinforces his image as a GM willing to take calculated risks. Social media has erupted with speculation, ranging from potential blockbuster trades to secret negotiations that could reshape the team's identity. Even veteran players are reportedly aware that something is brewing, with locker room chatter pointing to a possible shakeup that could redefine the Eagles' strategy for the season ahead. While no official announcements have been made, the energy around Philadelphia is palpable. Rumors like these are the lifeblood of the NFL offseason, and if the whispers prove true, Howie Roseman could once again prove why he's one of the most feared and respected executives in the league. Fans and analysts alike are on high alert, scanning every tweet, interview, and press release for a hint of what might be coming. One thing is certain, when Howie Roseman moves, the league pays attention. And this latest stir could be the prelude to one of the most talked about maneuvers in Eagles history. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.